Patty Berman of the Downtown LA Association. Go ahead. Neighborhood Council, excuse me.
That's okay. DLIC recently released Vision Downtown, which is a vision plan for our community. We're the first neighborhood council to do this. And one of the issues that has come up most in that is the need for what a lot of us call complete streets, which are ones that put pedestrians first, make walking and bike riding comfortable. And what I'm going to ask you is, what can you do to get us out of the car-centric thinking in downtown? And more than that, how do you propose getting short hop transportation available downtown so that people can leave their cars at the outside and get anywhere they want to go?
Yeah, it solves your parking problems. Councilman, we're going to start with you.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm very honored that this past year I was named the Elected Official of the Year by Streets Blog, which is a blog dedicated to promoting complete streets. And I think they did that because of the work we've been doing in a number of areas in my council district. Like I said, we are the area we first and challenged the Department of Transportation to do parklets, to do green bike lanes, to do bike corrals. And the idea behind this is that you not only support better transportation, but like I said earlier, you bring business development, you bring more safety. And here in downtown, as you mentioned, we need to do more of it. On Broadway, we have our largest road diet in the city of LA. Again, my office challenging what has been the normal standard in the city, where we extended the sidewalks, took out 2 lanes of traffic, put more street furniture, and that is part of our Bringing Back Broadway initiative, where we want to create a plaza-like environment here on Broadway with these beautiful theaters open up to the public, as we did with our night out on Broadway. We opened up 7 of these beautiful theaters for the first time in a very long time. And the streetcar that I've been promoting will help us park cars in the periphery. We could take the streetcar all around downtown.
That. Supervisor, you're next.
Well, again, with regard to the whole issue of trying to incorporate everyone in these issues, it isn't just about bikes and it isn't just about pedestrians. It's about bringing safety as we move about all the way through. I have been a little bit nervous as to how it's moving forward. I certainly wouldn't take pride of having the kind of bike lanes that many times did not incorporate the voices of the community, not incorporating and having a stake in them. I think if you're going to create the kind of changes that you want to bring, you incorporate the entire community. Find those ways that we can make transportation work for everyone, find those ways where pedestrians have access as well, and certainly find a way that we can make sure we're getting people onto bikes that can get onto bikes and that they're traveling safely through our streets. So it's a combination of doing all of those things in a smart fashion, in a responsive fashion, and making sure you incorporate all the people. Right now, there's a war with many people on the various emotions about whether we should have it or not. Bringing people in, planning with them, working with them is the way you solve these issues.
Ms. Diaz?
I believe that in regards to the bike lanes, I've heard both that they're positive and they're negative. And the negative part was that the people were kept out of the process. I'm a bike rider. I'm a health advocate. I believe we need to start getting out of our cars and we need to start moving and taking care of our health, whether it's housing, transportation, or bike lanes. Again, it goes back to being inclusive and to engage the constituents in the process. So together we can do this, but again, it's going to have to take a group effort and input from each district and what their needs are as it pertains to public safety and transportation, and making it more feasible for all ages. I know seniors have a difficult time because of age and other health conditions. We have disabled, so we have to take consideration of them, as well as children, families, all people, and bike riders. Bicycle riding is good.
Valerie from Arroyo Seco. You need a microphone.
Oh, staying on this issue for a moment about transportation, some areas of Los Angeles are much better adapted to bicycles, to pedestrians, and to public transportation than other areas. What is your plan to improve the overall transportation network so that people who depend on alternative forms of transportation, either because they have to or they want to get out of their cars, how can they move around the city safely? What are your ideas for that?
Supervisor in service.
Well, certainly, I have worked with the community, and we originally wanted a subway that would go through our community, but instead that was denied us. We ended up with the light rail, and we need to create the kind of opportunities where we create multimodal opportunities, because we're not just traveling in our communities. As a professor from UCLA, we're traveling across town. We need to make sure that all of our systems are working at all times. I don't know how effective you would have been, or whether you rode here on your bike, but the reality is we have to find ways that are transportation friendly to almost everyone in the community. And as my colleague Nadine said, we have to accommodate all of the communities together. But transportation is certainly an issue that's important through shuttles, through other kinds of opportunities that you can create. The thing that we're looking at, even with the so-called, I guess it's a trolley or the system that they're creating here, it's a wonderful idea and it has great opportunity. But we need to make sure that it's well funded, that it is the kind of priority, and that incorporates all of the communities.
Ms. Diaz?
In regards to transportation, making it feasible for constituents, again, it goes back to doing asset mapping and deficit mapping, which I'm trained in, and looking at communities. What are the needs and what is getting done and what is not getting done? In regards to transportation, I live in Boyle Heights, right by the Gold Line. It's called the Gold Line now. And ever since the bus service was stopped from Indiana eastward into East LA and Incorporated, seniors were unable to get their medication or travel back and forth. So what happened to them? It's a grave concern to me. And we need to get people out of their cars and create a system that's going to work for those who live in urban society and for those who live out of urban society in suburbia, whether it's Pomona or West Covina. LA is a huge city and a huge area, and people rely on their cars. So we have to also protect our environment, which is another thing we have to look at. So transportation must consider the environment.
Councilman?
Thank you. Your question was, how do you support people who rely on public transportation, support public transportation in general? Well, I think a big difference between myself and the former supervisor is that she supports the extension of the 710 freeway, and I'm opposed to it because it would disrupt a number of communities that extension would go. I would rather see an extension of the light rail system to allow people like you're talking about, who depend on public transportation, to go perhaps from East LA, get to Cal State LA, up to Pasadena, and finish that circle of light rail. That is a better investment than the billions of dollars and boondoggle that freeway would give us. A principle in planning is your first principle, what they teach you. If you have a congested road, you don't build another road, it's going to get just as congested. You find alternative forms of transportation. My last thing I would do is I would extend the ever famous and popular dash system. We need to invest more in our dash system that goes into those small streets or neighborhoods, that we haven't done that in a very long time. At my request, we are reevaluating all the routes right now that the city has had for decades without evaluation to see how we could better use those dash systems and invest in those more.
Professor Ballard.